What's up, everyone, and welcome to another Bitcoin market update. In these videos, you can learn technical analysis so you can forecast price movements in your favorite cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and also hear where we are thinking about buying or selling different cryptocurrencies. So let's get into it here on Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. We had a massive drawdown here in price that we had last night. So we rejected off of this R3 pivot that we had been talking about for this entire price range and said, this is the main resistance level for us to watch. We hit that level, came down, actually wicked in below this previous weekly candle right here on the 22nd of March. That's what this green check mark is indicating. We went down and wicked into that, and since have traded up at about 11% since then, meaning that the whales were pushing the price down to try and grab liquidity. And liquidity is a bunch of stop losses in an area, so those whales can fill their large positions without moving the price significantly. And so they drew the price down to this level, so it triggers people's stop losses, and then they buy those stop losses. And now the prices went up 11%, and I imagine that we will go up from here. But let's talk about why that is. And I know it's difficult on days like this to think about buying in, and that's why it was difficult for me today as well to buy in. But I need to go with the analysis, and right now the analysis is we grabbed liquidity here and below this daily low right now, and we have a very long lower wick of people buying the dip if the daily candle ends up closing like this. Couple different levels to watch. If we go to the 3-day time frame here real quick, we have this blue area right here, which is from this black candle, and you can see that this area held a support here once, and we came up and we started trending upwards, and then we came down right here into it again, and we're bouncing off it a second time. So this is the main support level that if we closed below this would be concerning, but we went right into that and then bounced off of it so far. If we go to the daily time frame, though, there's a couple things to watch here. So that blue zone, but then there's also this gray zone right here that we longed right here. So that trade, the gray zone right there, led to about 16% gain. And then since then, we came down there, and you can see we're bouncing off of this level once again. We're operating above it right here. And so that is where I have my long position tool set to enter. So I bought some right here, stop loss below this wick in case we continue to go down. And then I am targeting the daily R2 pivot up here at about 72K. And that's at about a 29% gain if we do end up going up to there. What I will do is if we end up closing inside of this gray zone, which is this candle right here that I talked about being a support level for us up here, and I said I'm going to be buying right here. I did get stopped out of the trade today, but so did pretty much everyone else that was going long up here. And that's okay, because then the next day you have to come back to the charts with fresh eyes and say, is this a good opportunity or not? And I do think it is a good opportunity because there's a lot of blood in the water. You can see that with the expansion in bear volume there. If this daily candle closes inside of this gray zone, I still think that this area is a valid support level, and I will enter the rest of my position and be targeting a minimum of this R1 pivot right here, but most likely the R2 up to about the R3, which is up here at about 82K. The weekly resistance level is this R4 pivot up here, which is up at about 80K. So I think that's ultimately where price will want to go if we end up closing a weekly candle next week above this R3. That will probably signify a move gradually in the summer, in the coming months, in the coming months, up to about 80K. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but this could be the beginning of that run, because you can think of liquidity as kind of like fuel or gas for your car. So what happens when the whales push the price down and grab stop losses below this low and this low is now they have the fuel. So they basically took their car and they filled it up with a bunch of gas, which is a bunch of liquidity, and then now they have enough gas to drive where they want to go, and that's up in this case. So that is where the bulls in the market want to go, in my opinion. So we'll see what ends up happening over the next coming hours. But one other thing before I go down to the lower time frame, we have this daily pivot level right here, which is the level that's right around 55,324. So that level is a strong support level. And so you can see that we're operating above that as well. So if we get a daily candle close below that pivot, that's going to be bearish. I would not like to see that. So in 2.5 hours, like I said, I'd like to see us close somewhere inside of this gray area, which is right around 56,244. Go to the lower term time frames. It's kind of messy here, to be honest. I don't really like looking at this right now just because of how messy it is. There's a lot of different levels that I'm looking at here. The main resistance level is, the main resistance level that I'm looking at for Bitcoin right now is this gray zone right here. And we just hit that level actually. And ran into it right here. So we'll see how that level ends up holding. But you can see this kind of V-shaped recovery right here from this dip. And this is exactly what you want to see with this right here, increase in bull volume. So if you want this to be the bottom, you need to see something like this. You need to see something with long-bodied white candles like we're seeing right here. And you need to see a long lower wick, and that's what we're seeing. So we'll see how these levels fare in the coming days. But what I'm going to be looking for is buying opportunities. So if we end up starting to trend on the 4-hour time frame by setting higher lows and higher highs, I will look to buy on retest of those zones. So we'll look to see what we get in the coming days. But like I said, we need to close inside this gray zone right here. And then if we go up from there, we have this resistance zone right here that we tested as support right here, but then traded right through right here. So coming up, this will probably be resistance on the first test. And we need to start changing the trend back to bullish. If we want this thing to go bullish, we need the lower term time frames. We need the 4-hour time frame specifically to set a high, higher low, and then higher high. So right now we're setting that high. We're looking to set that lower high in comparison to this one. So we have our high, low, of our low, high, and then we're going to be looking for something like this. This is what you always need to look for when you're looking for a daily low to be set. To know that this is probably going to be the lowest that we go, you need to look for a 4-hour trend change. So we need to see something like high set, come down, higher low, meaning we bounce somewhere above this low, and then higher high. We need to come up and close above the high that we're going to be printing here relatively soon. As long as we do that, then that gives us confidence that the higher low right here, or that the low rather has been set on the higher time frame, the daily, and then we can say, okay, that's probably going to continue to go up from there. And so that's when you start to look to enter or maybe add to your positions. So that's all I got for this one today. I hope it was helpful for you in these trying Bitcoin times, given that we just had a pretty dramatic drawdown in price. You can't win them all. Sometimes you're going to get stopped out on trades like this, where we were going long around this gray range right here. We went down significantly from there, but the important thing when you're in scenarios like this is to come back the next day with fresh eyes and look at the charts and see what they're telling you. And when there's blood in the streets, just remember, it might be a good buying opportunity then. This is not financial advice. Everything on this channel is for educational purposes only, and I want that to be very clear. But just remember that when there's blood in the streets, that is typically when there's the best probability for success. That's all I got for this one, guys. If you liked the video, give it a like down below. Subscribe for future educational content around cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And until next time, onward and upward.